Good day to you, internet users and service users and internet service providers and providers of usury. I am going to make a little video today based on some deep research that I've just done. I've got myself a branded fleece that says my name, Brodie McLeod, service user, similarly unique, just like the fleeces that the staff here at Cygnet Q Stokes Hayward Ward wear. And I got myself an ID badge as well from Amazon with my name on it. It says that I'm a service user, just to avoid any confusion. I'd had this kind of perception that a lot of people were dressing quite similarly to me, and had sort of long black coats and similar shoes, similar jeans. And this morning I've been taken out by a lovely member of staff who for some reason did have their Cygnet fleece but didn't have their photo ID. I was given my medication, my morning meds, a little while ago by a nurse who also wasn't wearing a photo ID in the clinical area, and I was just served my breakfast. I had peanut butter on toast at about 10:15 this morning, served by a chap who was just wearing a black shirt and a black zip-up hoodie and didn't have a photo ID or even a Cygnet uniform on. So I thought I'd use AI again for some deep research. I used the deep research feature on Gemini, and this is what it came up with. So, Cygnet Healthcare Staff uniform and identification policies in mental health inpatient settings. The environment within mental health inpatient settings requires a delicate balance between security, therapeutic care and the well-being of service users. For individuals experiencing mental health crises, particularly those detained under the Mental Health Act 1983, clarity and predictability in their surroundings are paramount. Staff uniform and identification policies play a crucial role in establishing this clarity, fostering trust and ensuring a safe and secure environment. Clear identification allows patients, visitors and other staff members to readily recognise the roles and responsibilities of individuals for providing care. This visual distinction is essential for effective communication, building rapport and maintaining professional boundaries. Furthermore, in clinical areas where vulnerable individuals are receiving treatment, robust identification protocols are vital for preventing unauthorised access and ensuring the safety of both patients and staff. The user's inquiry highlights the specific context of Cygnet Healthcare as a significant provider within the UK mental health sector and the need to understand their policies concerning staff uniform and photo identification, particularly when interacting with psychiatric patients detained under legal frameworks designed for their protection and the safety of others. Given the sensitive nature of these interactions and the potential for heightened anxiety among detained patients, a thorough examination of Cygnet Healthcare's practices in this area is warranted. This report aims to analyse Cygnet Healthcare's publicly available policies on staff uniform and photo ID, explore the relevant UK regulatory landscape and guidance, consider the perspective of the Care Quality Commission, and ultimately assess the alignment of these policies with best practices in patient safety and security. 2. Analysis of Cygnet Healthcare's internal policies. Cygnet Healthcare's commitment to establishing a professional and safe working environment is reflected in their general dress code guidelines, as outlined within job descriptions for various roles. Across different positions, from catering manager to ward manager, a consistent expectation exists for employees to present a neat and tidy appearance. These general guidelines emphasise the importance of complying with any specified local dress code or uniform requirements, indicating that while overarching principles are in place, individual sites or departments may have additional specific stipulations. A fundamental aspect of Cygnet's identification policy is the requirement for all employees to wear a name badge at all times while on duty. It doesn't source this, but that's what it says. This foundational element suggests a baseline commitment to ensuring staff are identifiable for basic communication and security purposes. Furthermore, in the interests of safety and health, employees are generally expected to keep jewellery to a minimum, avoiding items that could create a hazard. Some roles, such as receptionist and ward manager, explicitly state that hoodies are not permitted, possibly reflecting concerns about professionalism or safety within specific environments. As it happens, the chap who just served me peanut butter on toast at 10:15 is wearing a black hoodie. While the general dress code applies broadly, certain roles within Cygnet Healthcare have more specific identification requirements, particularly those with direct clinical responsibilities or leadership functions. For instance, the job descriptions for head of social work and social worker explicitly mandate that the post holder must at all times wear Cygnet identification. This specific requirement underscores the importance of these roles being clearly identifiable when interacting with service users and other professionals, likely reflecting the sensitive nature of their work and the need to build trust. Additionally, these roles also carry an expectation to, at all times, be dressed in a professional and smart manner when on work duties, further emphasising the need for professional presentation. The ward manager role also carries a specific responsibility for ensuring that all staff on the ward maintain the agreed dress code, highlighting the leadership's role in enforcing these standards within clinical settings. Maybe I'll speak to the ward manager here about the numerous staff. I've seen more than 4 or 5 staff this morning not wearing photocard ID badges, and as I said, one just wearing a black hoodie and a black shirt with his security keys and alarm hanging from his jeans. The use of ID badges within Cygnet Healthcare extends beyond basic identification, as evidenced by the mention of NHS discounts being redeemable by showing a Cygnet ID badge. This implies the existence of a physical ID card issued to staff members. However, the publicly available information does not explicitly confirm whether these ID badges include a photograph for all staff or if this is specific to certain roles. The inclusion of a phonetic pronunciation on ID badge, as mentioned in the context of multicultural networks' efforts to support ethnic minority staff, indicates an evolution of the ID badge system towards greater inclusivity, but does not definitively confirm the presence of photographs. The absence of explicit detail regarding mandatory photo ID for all staff, particularly in clinical areas, raises a question about the level of visual security assurance in place. Photo ID provides a significant enhanced level of security and reduces the risk of impersonation compared to a name badge alone, especially within the potentially vulnerable environment of a mental health facility. While the search results for Cygnet Healthcare's policies in clinical areas do not yield a separate, distinct policy document, it is reasonable to infer that the general dress code and role-specific identification requirements are applicable within these settings. Snippets referencing adherence to Cygnet's clinical policies and procedures within roles like clinical team leader and ward manager suggest that uniform and ID protocols would fall under this broader framework within clinical environments. Ensuring a safe and controlled environment is paramount in clinical areas, and visible staff identification is a fundamental component of achieving this. Similarly, the search for specific policies related to interaction with mental health patients did not produce dedicated policy documents. Nevertheless, the overarching principles of staff identification, professional conduct, and the general dress code would undoubtedly apply when staff are engaged with individuals detained under the Mental Health Act. The information provided to service users about their rights under the Mental Health Act, as details in snippets 2, underscores the importance, what's a bit weird, 2 with a space either side, underscores the importance of transparency and knowing who's involved in their care. Visible staff identification directly supports these rights by ensuring patients can readily identify and understand the roles of the individuals interacting with them. However, the absence of specific policies tailored to these sensitive interactions suggests a potential area for further consideration, as additional guidance on staff appearance and identification might be beneficial in fostering a more therapeutic and reassuring environment for detained patients. 3. UK regulatory framework and guidance. The UK healthcare sector operates under a comprehensive regulatory framework that includes national guidance on various aspects of service delivery, including staff appearance and identification. Analysis of NHS uniform policies from various NHS trusts reveals several key themes that underscore the importance of these protocols. A primary objective of these policies is to project a professional image and maintain public confidence in the healthcare services. Infection control is another critical consideration, with policies often mandating practices such as being bare below the elbows, tying back long hair, and minimising jewellery, particularly in clinical areas. Health and safety are also paramount, with guidance on appropriate footwear and the avoidance of loose items that could pose a risk to patients or staff. A consistent element across NHS uniform policies is the requirement for visible staff identification, which in many cases includes photo ID. This emphasis reflects the importance of security and the need for patients and visitors to easily identify staff members. Some NHS trusts also implement colour coding of uniforms, Cygnet do this as well, to help distinguish between different clinical and non-clinical roles, improving communication and clarity within multidisciplinary teams. Furthermore, restrictions on wearing uniforms outside of work are often in place to maintain hygiene and professional standards. The NHS has moved towards a standardised approach to uniforms across England, as highlighted in snippet again, comma, I don't know what that's on about, aims to enhance value, sustainability, professional image and inclusivity. NHS England's guidance on uniforms and workwear further reinforces these principles, focusing on patient safety, public confidence and staff comfort. Given that Cygnet Healthcare contracts with the NHS for a substantial portion of its revenue, it is reasonable to expect their policies to align with these established NHS principles regarding visible staff identification, including the use of photo ID, to ensure a consistent standard of safety and trust. Mental Health Act 1983 Code of Practice provides statutory guidance on how the Act should be applied in practice, with strong emphasis on safeguarding patients' rights and ensuring they're treated with dignity and respect. While this code does not explicitly mandate specific uniform policies, it underscores the importance of transparency and ensuring patients understand who is providing their care. Snippet from mind.org UK indicates that approved mental health professionals should carry identifications during assessments. I did have a recording online which I've taken off due to NHS requests, which said that the person who provided my first section 2 assessment in a room on the far right on, I think it was ward A528 or ward A560, when I was in an induced coma, just had a badge with like a SIM card thing on it and a blue stripe that didn't have their name or their job title or anything on it. But anyway, I digress. I'll go on from here, highlighting the significance of visible ID in mental health context to ensure individuals and the legitimacy and role of the professionals interacting with them. Approved mental health professional is what AMP, that word there, stands for. The Code's overarching principles of treating patients with dignity and respect and ensuring they're informed about all aspects of their care are directly supported by clear and visible staff identification. For individuals detained under the Mental Health Act, knowing who staff members are and understanding their roles can significantly contribute to a sense of security and potentially reduce anxiety associated with their detention. Professional standards for healthcare staff, including nurses and healthcare assistants, also emphasise the importance of accountability, professional conduct, and building trust with patients. Visible identification is a fundamental aspect of professional conduct, enabling patients to know who's responsible for their care and who to approach with questions or concerns. The Code of Conduct for healthcare and support workers, as highlighted by Skills for Health, explicitly emphasises accountability and the promotion of privacy, dignity and rights of service users. These professional standards collectively reinforce the notion that clear and consistent staff identification is not merely an administrative detail, but an integral component of delivering high quality, ethical, patient-centred care. I don't know what are these citations? Yeah, they are. You can just put the same prompt in to deep research if you want the citations. I'll find the prompt at the end of the video. 4. CQC's perspective on staff identification and uniforms. As the independent regulator of health and social care in England, the Care Quality Commission CQC sets standards and monitors compliance across various healthcare providers. General CQC guidance provides insights into their expectations regarding staff identification. Snippet, outlining, I don't know what that means, outlining employment requirements for providers explicitly mentors the need for proof of identity, including a recent photograph for all individuals employed in regulated activities. This strongly suggests that the CQC expects healthcare staff to possess and presumably display photo identification as a standard practice. Furthermore, the snippet indicates that clear identification of staff members is a specific service delivery criteria that healthcare practices regulated by the CQC must meet. This regulatory emphasis underscores the importance of visible identification as a fundamental aspect of ensuring quality and safety within healthcare settings. That's from provider and CQC inspector FAQs, meeting CQC requirements. The CQC's oversight of Cygnet Healthcare is evident in various inspection reports and reviews. While these reports often highlight broader concerns regarding safety and treatment standards at some Cygnet facilities, there is no specific mention within the provided snippets of widespread issues directly related to staff uniform or photo ID policies. I expect that most other hospital staff would be wearing their photo ID so they could be reported to the CQC or Cygnet or the police if they did anything wrong. But they're not doing that here for some reason, en masse. However, snippets, whatever, space, does note that staff had begun to identify themselves as working for Cygnet Healthcare, suggesting that this might have been an area requiring improvement or standardisation in the past. Despite the absence of a specific CQC findings on uniform or ID, the general expectation for clear identification, including photo ID, as outlined in the CQC's broader guidance, would still apply to Cygnet Healthcare as a regulated provider. The judicial review case involving apparent bias in CQC inspections of Cygnet facilities, while raising a significant question about regulatory processes, does not directly address the specifics of Cygnet's uniform or identification policies. However, it does underscore the importance of maintaining high standards of governance and patient safety to which clear identification contributes. 5. The role of uniforms and identification in patient safety and security. In the context of mental health inpatient settings, particularly when dealing with patients detained under the Mental Health Act, clear and consistent staff uniforms, visible photo ID play a critical role in enhancing trust and reducing anxiety. For individuals experiencing mental health crises, the environment can often feel overwhelming and unpredictable. Easily recognisable staff members through their attire and identification can provide a sense of stability and reassurance. Knowing who staff are and understanding their roles can contribute to a more predictable and less anxiety-provoking environment, fostering a greater sense of safety and security for patients who may be feeling vulnerable or disorientated. From ir.uhs.com. Visible identification also promotes accountability and professional conduct among staff members. When staff are clearly identifiable, they're more likely to be mindful of their actions and interactions with patients. The wearing of a uniform can further reinforce a sense of professionalism and adherence to the organisation's standards of care and behaviour. This transparency can also make it easier for patients or other staff members to raise concerns or provide feedback to the appropriate individuals, contributing to a more open and accountable care environment, according to Cygnet Healthcare's group. Furthermore, standardised uniforms, especially when coupled with role-specific identifiers such as different coloured lanyards or uniform tops, can significantly improve communication and teamwork within multidisciplinary teams. In a busy clinical setting, the ability to quickly recognise the role of a staff member, e.g. nurse or support worker or doctor, can be essential for timely and effective communication, leading to more coordinated and efficient patient care. That's again from Cygnet Group. The presence of photo ID badges is particularly crucial in preventing unauthorised access and impersonation within clinical areas. Photo identification provides a significant security advantage over name badges alone, acting as a visual identification of identity, making it considerably more difficult for individuals who are not authorised to be in these sensitive environments to gain entry or misrepresent themselves. The enhanced security is especially important in settings where patients may be vulnerable or where there could be potential risks to both patients and staff. Consistent uniform and ID policies are also integral to broader patient safety initiatives. Ensuring that the right care is delivered by the right person is a fundamental patient safety goal, and clear staff identification is a necessary prerequisite for achieving this. The role of the head of patient safety and security at Cygnet Healthcare underscores the organisation's focus on compliance with safety standards, which would logically include robust staff identification protocols. Therefore, well-defined and consistently enforced uniform and photo ID policies are not isolated measures, but essential components of a comprehensive patient safety strategy, contributing to a culture of safety and accountability within the organisation. That's from Cygnet Group itself. Conclusion and recommendations. The analysis of publicly available information suggests that Cygnet Healthcare has established general dress code and name badge requirements for its staff, indicating a foundational commitment to staff identification. Certain roles, particularly those with direct clinical responsibilities, have more specific mandates to wear Cygnet identification and maintain a professional appearance. While ID badges are utilised by staff, the research does not definitively confirm a mandatory photo ID policy for all staff working in clinical areas. In contrast, UK national guidance, particularly within the NHS, strongly emphasises the importance of visible staff identification, often including photo ID and potentially role-specific uniforms to enhance security and build patient confidence. The CQC also expects healthcare staff to have and display clear identification, including a recent photograph. The significance of clear staff identification in mental health inpatient settings, especially for patients detained under the Mental Health Act, cannot be overstated. It plays a vital role in enhancing trust, reducing anxiety, promoting accountability, improving communication, and preventing unauthorised access, all of which are crucial for patient safety and security. Unauthorised access one that has crossed my mind. Based on these findings, it goes on to say, the following expert level recommendations are proposed for Cygnet Healthcare. Recommendation 1, implement a mandatory photo ID policy for all staff working in clinical areas. Given the vulnerability of patients in mental health inpatient settings and the regulatory expectations for photo identification, Cygnet Healthcare should implement a policy requiring all staff members working in clinical areas to wear photo ID badges at all times while on duty. These badges should clearly display the staff member's name, role, a recent photograph and the Cygnet Healthcare logo. Clear guidelines should be established regarding the visibility and proper wearing of these badges as they ensure they are readily identifiable by patients, visitors and other staff. Recommendation 2, explore the implementation of role-specific uniforms or identifiers in clinical areas. To further enhance clarity and communication, Cygnet Healthcare should explore the feasibility and benefits of implementing role-specific uniforms, which they already do actually, or identifiers within clinical areas. This could involve introducing different coloured lanyards, specific uniforms or tops, or other visual cues to help distinguish between roles such as support workers and healthcare assistants. A consultation with staff and patients would be beneficial to determine the most appropriate and acceptable form of role identification, potentially aligning with colour coding practices observed by the NHS. They do that. The nurse who treated me this morning was wearing a very resplendent purple t-shirt. Recommendation 3, develop specific guidance on staff appearance and identification when interacting with patients detained under the Mental Health Act. Recognising the unique needs and potential anxieties of patients detained under the Mental Health Act, Cygnet Healthcare should develop specific guidance for staff on how to present themselves during interactions. This guidance could emphasise the importance of a calm and approachable demeanour, clearly introducing themselves and their role and ensuring their photo ID badge is always visible. This should be integrated into staff training and induction programmes to foster best practices in these sensitive interactions. God, a bit early today, I can't speak properly. Recommendation 4, regularly audit compliance with uniform and ID policies. To ensure the effectiveness of the implemented policies, Cygnet Healthcare should establish a system for regularly auditing staff compliance with uniform and photo ID requirements in clinical areas. This could involve ward managers conducting routine checks and reporting on adherence levels. The findings of these audits should be utilised to identify areas for improvement and to reinforce the importance of consistently adhering to these protocols. Recommendation 5, ensure a clear communication of policies to patients and carers. Upon admission, patients and their carers should be provided with clear information about Cygnet Healthcare's uniform and staff identification policies. This will help them understand who they'll be interacting with during their care and what to expect in terms of staff appearance and identification. This information should be included in patient welcome materials and displayed in accessible areas within the ward. They did used to have it in the reception area, the colour coding of nurses wearing purple and I think OTs wearing burgundy, red. They do some of that, but this is saying that they should do more. Recommendation 6, review and update policies in alignment with national guidance and best practices. Cygnet Healthcare should commit to regularly reviewing and updating its uniform and staff identification policies to ensure ongoing alignment with the latest national guidance, including policies adopted by the NHS and expectations set forth by the Care Quality Commission. The review process should be integrated into their broader quality governance framework to ensure continuous improvement and adherence to best practices in patient safety and security. By implementing these recommendations, Cygnet Healthcare can further enhance patient safety, security and the overall quality of care provided within its mental health inpatient settings, particularly for individuals detained under the Mental Health Act. Table 1, comparison of Cygnet Healthcare's stated policies with NHS guidance. So you can see here, well, you can't really see here. There's a table that basically, I don't know, can we click on that? No. So I'm not going to read all of that. You can read it if you want by pausing this video and going through it. But basically, yeah, there's kind of CQC expectations, NHS guidance, and then what Cygnet do. So, general dress code, name badges, photo ID, role-specific uniforms. They already do role-specific uniforms, and Mental Health Act principles emphasise knowing the staff roles, and within the NHS and CQC expectations, Cygnet probably should fall within those, but doesn't. It researched 147 websites. There they all are. So yeah, in a nutshell, Cygnet should be making sure that everybody who wears a branded fleece, or that everybody should wear a branded fleece when they're on uniform, not just like mufti day clothes. And this should have a photo ID, so that if you want to make a complaint or a report, or know who you're talking to and whether they've got the right to tell you what to do, or stick a needle into your buttock, or force you to take tablets surrounded by a crew of people you've never seen before in a scary environment where you're locked in a building with people who, you know, even the doctors might not show you their ID or give you their GMC number, and, you know, could literally be anybody. So Cygnet, don't listen to me because I'm one of your inpatients and service users who has zero credibility and, you know, lonely, deluded sociopath Brodie McLeod, 9 times sectioned by Cygnet, isn't a form of authority or a legitimate source for you to structure your corporate social responsibility profile or adherence to best practice guidelines, be they NHS or anybody else. But yeah, half the staff don't wear ID. Half the staff don't have sexy uniforms like I've got. Look, it's even got, it says it on my back. I don't know if you can see that. It says my name in nice big letters. And that I'm a service user and that I'm similarly unique, which is just a term of phraseology that I chose to use. Yeah, nice day today. I've got a lot to be grateful for. Some of the staff on the ward are really engaging and kind and warm, and some of the other service users have been very friendly towards me, and we've had some great conversations, and I've established a good rapport with a lot of the Cygnet staff, even the ones without photo ID and correct uniform, because the way I see it, they're human beings first and staff members second. But this is a very long video and it's time for me to get into a shower and I think have a shave today, and maybe go out and enjoy the sunshine in the garden outside, because it's nice out in the garden. Thanks for watching, everybody. All the best.